But now let's head over to Fontes, which is where we expect to find Dakuna, the Elcor homeworld. We have been here before, but as I think I said previously, technically speaking, although we did get an asset here when we scanned Dakuna originally, I believe if we do it again, we'll find this time there is something on Old Ton that filled faster than I was expecting it to, which I believe is the moon for Dakuna. This is specifically for the... as we assume it is specifically for the Dakuna Elcor extraction. Now, it tells us it's on Dakuna. Technically, it's on the Dakuna moon, but the Elcor have requested an emergency extraction for warriors and civilians trapped on their homeworld of Dakuna. Search for survivors on Dakuna, rescue them if possible, and return to the Elcor ambassador. Technically, again, a little misleading, because it's not actually on Dakuna, it seems. It's on Dakuna's moon, Ultan. Not a huge deal, because they're right next to each other, so if you try scanning Dakuna, Ultan's going to be in your scan radius anyway. But yeah, there was an asset on Dakuna previously. There's obviously this one on the moon, but you can only find this after you have spoken to that Elcor on the Citadel, Elcor Flotilla. I think. I mean, here is Dakuna, and we can't do anything here anymore. We leave out of curiosity. I'm hoping that that's all we needed. It's just a little bit odd that it showed up as a war asset. I would have thought that, you know, well, I mean, what else would it show up as? Guess what else would it show up as in the meantime? Yeah, I guess that makes sense. But yeah, so even though we obviously scanned this area previously when we were initially scanning Dakuna, and we originally did get something on Dakuna, you can only get that part right there after you've spoken to the Elcor diplomat, and that's why we had to go back over here a second time round. So technically speaking, the most time and resource efficient way to go about doing this would be make sure you speak to that Elcor diplomat, then head out to the Cillian Nebula Fontes system, and then you can kill two birds with one stone. Are we going to have enough fuel to get back here? Technically, it doesn't really matter. We do, but we would have gotten a free ride back if we ran out anyway. Just means we have a little bit of fuel, 175 as our carryover. So, that's, I think, all the exploration we're looking to do here for the moment. Just do a quick check to see to what extent there may still be other areas remaining that we may still need to look into. Horsehead Nebula, I believe this was where the Grissom Academy mission was, and we did scan it. Just for whatever reason, there weren't any things of note here. So, I think the only places we have left are the Volus cluster. Ninma was the Rachni home cluster, but we also scanned this and didn't find anything. Calston Rift, we're deliberately waiting to do this because this is where we're going to end up going for Dr. Garneau, and we haven't done that yet. Perseus Vale was obviously where the Rannoch was, and all of our missions that we did there, and we scanned that, but didn't find anything. Same with Far Rim. So I think we're in the clear there. Yeah. I think it's mostly just places that we deliberately have not gone yet, and now Aethon Cluster. We have a couple of planets that we're going to want to try to track down, but now let's take a look at our journal, because at this point, I think we've done all the exploration that we're looking to do, because we hopefully have now gotten what we need for Elcor extraction, and for the Book of Irun, or Irun Book of Plenix, I should say. So we can turn those in, and did we pick up Cerberus ciphers as well? We may have? I might be making that up. But also, at the... sorry, Widow is another one that we want to turn in, obviously, on the Citadel. But our main quest mission right now is on the Citadel as well. So we actually have a lot of things we're looking to do there. So for that reason, why don't we head back now and do all those things? Seems like it'd be a good time. Okay, so let's head on in. And we're definitely heading to the Alliance docks, although I think there are several places that we're actually looking to go.
You're cleared to dock, Normandy. Do you need ground transport?
Yeah. The question is, what order do we want to do things in? I'm pretty sure we have several things on the commons. However, we might want to wait to do that one, because that's also where all the or most of the shops are. So if we turn in a bunch of quests, get a bunch of money for doing that, and then want to go on a bit of a shopping spree, then it makes sense to do that at the end when we've already turned in all of our quests and have all our money for that purpose. So maybe we go embassies first, because that is where we know we have the Elcor diplomat at the very least. Possibly more as well. I'm not sure if we have anything in Purgatory. Maybe something small in the refugee camp. I'm not sure if there's anything in the hospital, but honestly, it may just be worth doing a quick check everywhere.
I need to get to the
I
embassy.
know we have stuff at the embassies,
Yes,
though.
Commander.
Okay. So, I don't think we have a mission with you. The Elcor is right there. Are you the Book of Planet Sky? I don't remember where the Book of Planet Sky is. Now, we already turned in our quest item for you a long time ago, I think.
Thank you again, Earth Clan. Our military strength is minimal, but we are proud to help as we can.
And that is consistent with the things that we've heard and read. But now for you. I hope that scanning Dakuna's moon was sufficient to get the help that this ambassador was looking for.
We got your people off Dakuna, Ambassador.
Utterly sincere. Thank you for your assistance, Commander. This is not a debt we can repay.
Were you able to evacuate any civilians?
Yes,
How many?
not enough.
Ooh. Yeah. So Elcor starting to get hit hard as well.
I have excellent news. Your daughter's paperwork
We've
has
heard
been
this
processed.
conversation previously. So now we actually have a pretty solid amount of money right now. 96,500, which take a quick look here at the Spectre office, because this, speaking of places we might want to shop to pick up some good stuff, this is obviously chief among them. Right here. We could afford either the Wraith or the Paladin. Wraith is a really strong shotgun, just super well-rounded. We have picked up the Crusader, which is also pretty well-rounded, more of a range-specific shotgun. This one, the Wraith, I think shoots a little bit faster. Not as accurate. It's lighter, which is not so relevant for our squad mates, which are primarily the people who are going to be using these shotguns, not us, since... I mean, if you were to try to use a shotgun as a power-based character, honestly, the Wraith might be one of, if not your best options, because it is so light, but we might prefer to save up for either the Black Widow, the Harrier. So Black Widow is an extremely high damage sniper rifle, whereas the Harrier is an extremely high damage, but extremely high damage, extremely heavy, but carries a few shots in it per clip as well. Sniper rifle, Harrier, extremely high damage, very low clip size, and so kind of odd in that, yes, it is an assault rifle, however, you can't fire it very long before you need to reload, and that's its biggest weakness. Can't remember how heavy it is. I imagine it's at least somewhat heavy, but so it is, by some accounts, one of the best assault rifles in the game. Piranha, also really solid shotgun. Wildly inaccurate, but actually sort of a semi... Is it semi or is it actually fully automatic shotgun? Basically a hybrid between a shotgun and an assault rifle. Valiant is technically... Yeah, technically a sniper, and this is kind of a hybrid between a sniper and assault rifle. So lots of hybrid weapons here. Eagle, solid pistol, just really well-rounded. Defender, we haven't really thought much of using the full-blown armor sets, but think there actually is an achievement for buying at least 2 of them, so I guess we could potentially consider doing that at some point, but I don't think there's anything that we are urgently looking to buy just yet, although if we do have enough money at the end of all this, then we may look to pick up one of those more expensive weapons, since those are certainly the biggest things that we are looking to buy at this stage. I think if we head through here, this was Udina's office. And of course, we know what happened to Udina.
I want all remaining files secured and marked for Tentron clearance only. Commander Shepard,
Have you found something?
we're continuing our investigation into Counselor Udina's activities. It's still not clear how he managed the coup attempt. However, I need to speak with you on another matter.
Oh?
Matters have taken a serious turn for the Asari Republics. We understand your crucible is still missing an important component. The catalyst, I believe you call it.
Go on.
Do you know where it is?
What?
Unfortunately, no. But we do have an artifact on our home world, Thessia, classified at the highest levels.
Go
What is
on.
it?
Suffice it to say, it may help you identify the catalyst. The artifact is in a temple located at these coordinates. A scientific team there will provide assistance.
That sounds like that could be huge, but does seem very secretive. So, does beg the question, why were you hiding this initially?
If this artifact is so important, why keep it hidden?
Even our allies can have their own agenda. A balance of power exists in the galaxy that we don't wish to upset.
The
Right,
Reapers are
with you
doing
at the
that
top.
right now.
And that's why I'm sharing this with you.
Okay, so the Asari wanted to keep this powerful artifact for themselves because maybe that was one of the ways in which, using whatever insight they gathered from this important artifact, they held their claim at the top of the galaxy, even if it might have also helped their allies in the fight against the Reapers. They chose not to share it until now, until we came here. So, I mean, thank you, but it does certainly raise an eyebrow.
I appreciate the help.
It's for both our benefit. The homeworld has never been threatened before. Thessia has always been an oasis in a galaxy full of turmoil. The Reapers are about to change that.
I'll do what I can.
More lives depend on you than any soul should have to bear. You have my prayers.
Thanks. No pressure. Okay, and so, with that, that was actually our main quest here on the Citadel. But what it does is it gives us a new main quest here. That one that we just did, of course, was just getting more information to set us up for Priority Thessia. As the Asari Counselor was just starting to say, although we haven't heard much of anything with regard to Reapers attacking the Asari yet, sounds as though the threat is imminent. The Asari, growing desperate as the Reapers attack their systems, have revealed an artifact that may hold the key to finding the catalyst, which is the missing component, the key component to building the Crucible. Meet a scientific team at a temple on Thessia and investigate the artifact for clues. Okay, so that becomes our next big mission, and may in fact be the next mission that we take on. The only thing is that we may still have a couple of things left to turn in here on the Citadel before we do that. Did we get any money from that? We didn't get any money. I think we might have gotten possibly experience, but reputation as well. I know Bailey's in there. We are waiting on that. We are waiting on that. So I think that's everything that we are currently looking to do in the embassies, unless we wanted to buy one of those N7 weapons. Oh, hold on. Unless we wanted to buy one of those N7 weapons from the Spectre Terminal. But here's Samara. Of course, we very recently saw her at the Asari Monastery, and things very nearly took a nasty turn for the worse. But fortunately, we were able to convince her not to take her own life.
I hoped you'd come. I won't remain here much longer.
What are you doing on the Citadel, Samara?
I suppose I came to say goodbye. Falair is safe, and Rila is at rest. I felt the need to speak to you before heading to battle. I want you to know there is no one else I'd rather see leading us in our last hours.
That's an honor. Thank you.
We'll make the galaxy proud. The largest fleet in history is already on our side.
It is impressive. Most would have deemed such an alliance impossible. But Shepard, be sure to assess your force's strengths and weaknesses before setting out.
Of course. So, with that in mind, you as a Justicar, what role will you play in the war? I mean, you certainly have combat experience, but are you looking to be on the front lines? Or are you looking to contribute in some other way?
What are the other Justicars doing for the war?
Most have made it home. They will attempt to hold Thessia. With the odds we face, it's possible our order will no longer exist after this war.
There's that few of you?
I don't think we ever knew how many there were exactly.
Our numbers were never great. We must prepare to sacrifice ourselves, if that is what's required.
Does seem kind of bleak, not gonna lie. But maybe we try to keep it positive here. Let's not point that part out. I mean, Falair, so remember Falair and Rila were Samara's two daughters that we met in the Asari Monastery, one of whom was getting corrupted by the Reapers, being turned into, it seemed, one of those Banshees. Meanwhile, the other one was able to escape with us.
Will Falair be alright in the monastery? Or what's left of it?
We spoke for some time. It won't be easy. But if there is a way to survive, Falair will find it. It was good to see her again.
It had been hundreds
Perhaps
of years,
it's
I think she said.
unseemly for a Justicar to dwell so much on her family.
I mean, it's especially times like these when there's a lot of conflict. It's good to hear that you do still have ones close to you that are hopefully remaining safe.
I'm just happy things worked out.
I was fortunate that Falair saw things so clearly. And it would have turned out quite differently without your intervention. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, then, I mean, what are your overarching thoughts on the Reapers, I suppose? We obviously fought extensively with Samara against the Collectors, who we learned were working for the Reapers, but we kind of just got thrown straight into the thick of things at the monastery when we caught up with the Samara and didn't really get the chance to hear how she was faring given the invasion of the Reapers.
You know, I never asked you if your code has anything useful on fighting Reapers.
Treat them as any other enemy. Show no quarter, mercy, or weakness. The only difference is the scale of our foe. The code is too strict to account for such small discrepancies.
Okay, the code, maybe, but what about you personally? What do you think about our odds here? Our best ways forward?
Is that how you see it too?
An odd question, coming from the Spectre who killed his third Reaper on Rannoch.
Has it really been 3? I guess it has been 3 now. Mass Effect 1, if you want to give the credit to us for killing... I don't know if you want to give us the credit in Mass Effect 1. I mean, there were a lot of ships that were attacking Sovereign, and sure, we helped, but we weren't really directly attacking Sovereign ourselves as much as it was the other fleets that were assisting us. So, I don't know about that one. Obviously, in Mass Effect 2, you can definitely give us credit for that one. And Mass Effect 3, the one that we just did on Rannoch, also, I mean, yes, we were on the front lines directing the Quarians with their fleet to aim, or was it technically the Quarians, or was it the Normandy and just the Normandy? I actually don't remember. But once again, was it actually us firing a weapon directly at the Reaper taking it out? No, it was actually us putting a target on the Reaper for other people to shoot it down, so again, like, gray area, but okay. I appreciate the sentiment. But okay, I think that is all in terms of what we can chat with Samara about here. But certainly, good to see her in the Asari Monastery. I mean, good to see her, period. Just maybe not the best of circumstances in which to find her, you know, when she kind of had to murder, sort of, her own daughter and whatnot. So good to see her here in a little more peaceful circumstances, even if it is just a little bit of calm before the storm in between our next fight.
Good luck out there, Samara.
You as well. I don't know if you believe in such things, but Goddess go with you, Shepard. We'll both be tested in fire soon enough.
I'm afraid so. Alright, a little bit of Paragon points. Apparently we can talk to her again. I was just curious
Hello
to see
again, Shepard.
if there was anything new here. I was expecting for it just to be
Goodbye, Samara.
Farewell, Shepard.
a quick little goodbye, Shepard, or something like that without actually opening up the dialogue menu, but there you have it. If you accidentally mess up and forget to ask her about something, then you can ask her about more on a subsequent go-round. But there's Samara, so yeah, we may still have some squad mates, or prior squad mates, that are hanging around the Citadel in various locations, which is one of the reasons why we may want to look elsewhere as well, to see if we can have similar conversations with them.
Spectre status recognized.
So,
Select a destination.
let's go to other areas of the Citadel, in large part to see if we might happen to come across other squad mates, like the docks holding area, maybe? Not sure if we know about anyone specifically going there.
Now arriving at Docking Bay E24. Emergency civilian housing.
Okay. Anyone here that we would like to chat with? Oftentimes, if we do have squad mates here, this is where they're hanging out, next to the wall. The memorial wall. Doesn't look to be the case this time, though. So perhaps we do not have additional people hanging out here. Yes, there is Zaid, but
Who were those people you were with?
Bunch of mercs from Omega. Signed on with them when I heard they were making a hit on Cerberus.
I think we've already heard all this stuff from Zaid.
The job longer.
I think we have. There are some shops here. And the Kishok is an interesting sniper rifle, but it is a very unusual one. And I'm not really sure that we're looking to purchase any of these other things unless we wanted to make a point of purchasing several of the full armor sets again, because I think there may be an achievement for buying 2 of them. But that's not a super high priority. If anything, if that is truthfully the case, which I think it is, then the best way to go about doing that might be, since we don't really want to actually use those, at least they don't tend to give us the types of stats that we're looking for, might mean that we prioritize buying the actual weapons and upgrades that we want, and then at/near the end of the game, we just buy a couple of those sets with whatever money we have lying around at the end, and use that to finish things off and get those achievements.
Oh. Hey, it's you.
Any
Still
updates
waiting.
from these two?
Any news?
No, but they probably
I'm afraid not. James still hanging out over here. He is. It is still about time. Excuse me. Sorry. Garner Vosk, another person that we theoretically can chat with, yes, but not really looking to do so at the moment. Okay, so I think in that case,
I believe those are my credits.
in that case, I don't think there's anyone else that we need to make a point of chatting with here. I think we are good in this area. But again, good to generally check around the memorial wall, because there are times when squad mates will hang out there, and you may be able to catch up with them in between missions. But not the case this time.
Spectre status recognized.
Let's see. So Purgatory should be a pretty quick check, I think. Let's see.
Now arriving at Ward's level.
I believe
Purgatory.
we turned in a quest already for the Angry Elcor.
With sincere gratitude, thank you, Huma.
No problem.
How's the head?
Good. Concussion's almost gone.
Good. When I heard you were injured.
It was stupid. I should have ducked when that wall came down. Something good has come out of all this, though. Got new equipment. Sent me a set of vortex armor.
Okay, I wasn't sure if this was the beginning of this conversation or the end of this conversation. New component that we had not yet heard. We have heard this before, though.
Only be safer inside a tank.
She was the one who purchased his armor for him. She was looking out for her friend. So wholesome. Okay, we're mostly looking for squad mate appearances here. We turned in a quest already with that Asari over there, and obviously there's also our friend over there, but we are going to wait till a later occasion to do those quests with Arya. And that's why we avoided Garner, Voss, Bailey, in the embassies area and whatnot.
Good for business before, but this is war. They're dying for us.
Cortez is still up here. Yes, there is a conversation we can have with him. True. However,
Tell your friend in
let's get out of here. However, there is over there, but I think we have heard this conversation already. The thing about Cortez there is that he is a romanceable option. We're just not looking to do that right now because Tally is our lady. So I think for that reason, we will probably stop chatting with Cortez on the Citadel. Avoid sending mixed messages.
Spectre status recognized.
Next on the list would be the hospital. That should be a quick check. I'm not sure there's going to be much new here.
Now arriving at.
We turned in the stuff for you, right?
Yes,
Recently.
I'm seeing increased turnout as well. We may actually make it through this war.
Ooh. Okay. Jacob's still here, yes, but we have already certainly chatted with him quite a bit. No more Metagel capacity upgrades there, so that would be the one thing we would consider purchasing here, but we've already been there, done that. Don't think there's anyone or anything for us to do in any of these rooms here, but just to double check.
Any improvement?
Yes, the counter agent is finally starting to kick in.
I believe that was for the Turian poison? Or is that for the Solarian in one of these other rooms? It might have been. This was Ashley's room once upon a time, but is no longer occupied. This might have been the guy with the Turian leader who had some kind of poison.
General Corellius should make a full recovery.
Yeah,
He's
that
already
was
awake
him.
and responsive.
Okay. So yeah, it looks like we may be done in the hospital for now, with one relatively minor exception. One thing that you may recall a long time ago we started to do here, but I deliberately delayed, deliberately did not see it through all the way to the end, because although you can, I think, pretty much do it whenever, there are some other things that tie together with it that I don't think you see for quite some time, so in the interest of seeing them closer together and making it easier to make those connections, I delayed a bit. That is this conversation between these two.
Little farm. We killed a few enemy scouts, and it's quiet. The shuttle gets called away for support, so I'm there for the night. The humans get me dinner, show me around. One of them, this freckled farm girl, maybe 15. She wants to hear all about what it's like to be a commando.
Listen very closely to this conversation.
Probably the most exciting thing ever to land at her farm.
Yeah. Well, she's saying she wants to be a pilot, and I say that life on a ship is grimy. And she asks if I'd like to use their shower.
Going by my records, you'd been on active duty for more than 3 weeks. Probably no real chance to get clean in all that time.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Talk about 15-year-old farmer. And I think we might have previously heard the first component of this conversation, but otherwise I tried to avoid it so we could hear it all at once. So let's leave and come back and try to hear the next component. Or leave in full. Or at least go further away so we can hear the next component. Because I want to try to hear it all together here if possible. No? Insufficient distance covered? Alright, we'll try going to quite literally the other end of the hospital. And if that doesn't work, then perhaps we will just need to make a point of revisiting the hospital every time we go back to the Citadel to make an effort to chat with or overhear that Asari, which it's perhaps in that case a little bit late to be doing that, but hopefully that can still work, because I do want to try to hear her story in full. So yeah, PTSD Soldier, I believe was her name, or something along those lines. So she's here in the hospital for that reason, getting treatment. You hear more now?
So I'm in the shower with hot water and everything. And that's when Neaira came.
Neaira was another huntress on your ship?
Yeah, a friend. I wanted it to be more than that, but she had a medical condition.
It's okay. It's in the file.
The farm girl calls in to me that another Asari is here. I thought the shuttle had gotten back early. I come out in a towel, and Neaira walks through the door. But it wasn't her. Not anymore.
Okay. One of her partners on her team, fellow commando, was someone who was working with her at one point in time, and perhaps she had some feelings for this other Asari, but she's coming out of the shower, has a towel, she's not exactly, looking for, or well, she's not exactly ready to do anything other than just get dressed and what have you. And then, however, this Neaira person was not her usual self, it seemed, based on that description. And based on what we have encountered recently, you may be able to anticipate where this is going, but let's do what we did before and just walk further in this direction, and, by the time we get back there, hopefully, once again, we can hear the next part of the story. Excuse me, sir. We have a job to do. It's not like we are here walking through the hospital preventing you from doing your job.
She's got this glow. And the Reapers. They did to her what they do to everyone. She's covered in... I don't know. Glowing. She reaches out. Her eyes go black. And she touches one of the farmers, and he just... dies. They panic. She rips them apart. Sometimes touching, sometimes opening them up with biotics. The humans are turning into... liquid. And I'm there, in my towel with no gun. And husks start pouring through the door.
Goddess.
So I ran.
That's a traumatic experience. For sure. For sure. A soldier there to, presumably, protect the people on this colony, and yet found herself in a position where she was unable to perform her duty and had to run. And based on that description there, you can probably surmise that given how Neaira, based on that description, was glowing and had Reaper-like lights on her, that sounds an awful lot like, well, what we just saw. A Banshee. She got Reaper-fied. And that's crazy, because, sure, we've seen many times before countless husks, cannibals, marauders, yes, but never before have we been able to draw a direct correlation, be able to say, this husk at one point in time was this person, or even one of my best friends, someone that I had special feelings for, even in this case. That's crazy.
I got out of that farm and into the hills. They pulled the farm girl after me. All I wanted to do was live through the night.
Nobody else could have done more.
But morning came and no shuttle. Afternoon, and then night, and I'm hiding from husks and those Turian things.
The file says the evacuation team thought your position was overrun.
So after 2 days, I still don't have a gun, because those Turian things, you can't use theirs. I realize that shuttle isn't coming, not unless I get back to the farm and my radio.
And the farm girl?
She was with me. Even killed a few husks. With a stick.
Well done. But they needed to make it back to the farm in order to actually use their radio to call in for a shuttle to get out of there. Because shuttle was not coming, since they assumed that the area was overrun and that there was no one to save. Incorrect as that assumption may have been. But they had to go back to the place that was overrun by the Reapers. So let's head back and see if we can figure out what happened next. Anything else? Yes? No? No? Odd. Previously, that was sufficient to hear the next part. Why don't we try that one more time? And maybe it's such that we just haven't made it far enough in the game to hear the next component of that conversation. I can understand how, if those parts of the conversation only unlock after you've completed certain big missions, that you would not be able to hear that part about her friend transforming into a banshee until you've discovered what a banshee is. In which case, since we just heard that part and we just finished that mission, makes some sense that we would not get hear the next part, but let's see if we can hear the next part.
So we went back to the farm.
We snuck down the hill. We were hungry, filthy. They'd turned the towel into a kind of tunic. They'd cleaned up the bodies to make more husks, I figured. But there were still farmers alive. They were being held prisoner. And Naira was there, directing the other forces. I could see her. I got within 10 meters of her. If I just had my gun.
What happened next?
I got to the prisoners. The farm girl unlocked their restraints, and that's when they all started screaming.
Okay. They made it back, yes. However, they tried to do so stealthily in order to rescue, in order to get the shuttle called in. They realized that some of the people were still alive, but were being held prisoners, so they tried to rescue them. But then they started screaming, and I have to imagine that compromised their position. But let's see if we can figure out what happened next. No? Not this time? I mean, last time. For whatever reason, you only did it once we made 2 rounds around the hospital. I assume it's distance traveled that determines whether she wants to talk to you again or not. Maybe it's total number of steps? I'm not sure. I assume that it was the distance from her that you have gone. Why I'm always walking to the far end of the hospital, but if we just need to run laps around the hospital to increase Shepard's total number of steps, then maybe that's how it works. Maybe we fell just short on those couple of occasions prior.
The prisoners were indoctrinated.
You think?
And once the alarm was sounded?
Naira's eyes were black. The whole time, not just for a second. Feel her mind from where I was standing. The humans were in the way, attacking us. I used my biotics, flung them around. I'd been horrified when Naira tore the farmers apart, but goddess, I ripped them in half. And it felt good.
There's nothing shameful about feeling an adrenaline rush during battle.
I might have killed more than Naira and those husks did. She wanted them alive, to turn them, and I...
And you survived.
Yeah. Yeah. So those were what were once innocent civilians, but she theorized that they had been indoctrinated by the Reapers, and that's why they screamed and why they started to fight them. And so she realized that the only thing she could do was to defend herself, and therefore use her biotic abilities to fend off the humans, the people who were attacking her. And although they might have appeared as though they were these innocent bystanders, perhaps not so much the case. It's still hard to live with that. Still nothing there. I mean, for whatever reason, it does seem like now we need to do 2 trips away in order to get her to speak again. But I would like to hear this story through in full at this stage, I think. Other thing that we might have heard at the very beginning of this conversation, perhaps the very first time that we walked past her, which was a long, long time ago, one of the first times we went into the hospital, was that the location that this is taking place on, the planet, is called Tiptree. And that is an important detail.
We tried to run again, but we were blocked. And the farm girl? Her leg was broken, bleeding bad. I knocked down a wall in a barn with a big warp field. I was so proud of that. And we hid.
They must have searched for you.
I'm an Asari huntress. No damn husk is gonna find me unless I let it.
But the farm girl who was with you?
Her leg was broken. She was whimpering, and in the eye I saw her through a hole in the boards. She was coming closer with those dead black eyes. And Hillary, the farm girl, she couldn't stop crying. They were gonna hear.
What did you do?
What do you think?
Ooh. Ooh. What do you think? Other important detail. Location is Tiptree. Name of the farm girl who was with this Asari huntress was Hillary. Those are the two, and the overall recounting of what happened here. Those are the most important details, but I think we are reaching close to the end of this. This time, perhaps? Nope, not quite. Perhaps attempt number 2 will do the trick. Alright, Shepard at this point is going to be prepared to run a marathon, which, I mean, is probably a good thing. Why not just challenge the Reapers to a long-distance race and see who wins that way? Maybe that's how we win.
In addition to your medical discharge, the government wants to give you a medal. The intel you provided when that shuttle finally found you, you saved a lot of lives.
And I killed those farmers.
They were indoctrinated. You had to defend yourself. And as for Hillary...
Idiot. When I took a shower and left my gun in the bedroom, I killed them. Ira. At least she can blame the Reapers. But I'm just... me. Color on my eyes. Did they turn back after? Could I get that gun now?
I'll see what I can do.
Okay, and that might be the final component of that conversation there. So, she was stationed on this remote farmer colony called Tiptree, human colony. It got attacked by Reapers, overrun by Reapers. She and this farmer girl, Hillary, about 15 years old, fled as this Asari's best friend got indoctrinated and presumably turned into a banshee. When they fled, they realized that their shuttle was not coming, and so they had to go back to the place, the settlement that got overrun, in order to use their radio to call in the shuttle. In doing so, they found that the Reapers were still there, had killed many of the people, but also captured others who were still alive. However, once they got there, they tried to rescue them, but realized that they were indoctrinated, and so when they encountered them, those people shouted, raised the alarm, and brought to the Reaper's attention that Visasari and Hillary were back, and so the two of them tried to hide, did so, but Hillary was being loud and crying, and or at least whimpering, because she'd broken her leg, and so the Asari over here had broken through an area and found some rubble for them to hide under. However, the Banshee, Naira, her former friend, was closing in on them, and she was concerned that Hillary making noise was going to get them found and killed by this newly created Banshee. And so, it sounds like, reading between the lines, that she killed Hillary in order to keep her cover, and she eventually did get herself off of that place, but everyone else in her group and all of the colonists that were there all either died or got indoctrinated, and so she holds herself accountable for that because she says she was in the shower when they first arrived, the Reapers first arrived. She didn't have her gun on her, so she wasn't able to take them out immediately, and so by the time that she did get back, she was unable to protect the colonists, and everyone died. And so she bears that blame, where she says at least her friend, Naira, was indoctrinated by the Reapers. At least she could blame the Reapers for all the destruction that she caused, whereas this Asari right in front of us says, I can't blame the Reapers. It was my own doing by which the entire colony got destroyed, and so for that reason, she's completely distraught, and makes some sense that for that reason, what she really wants now is the gun that she felt like she needed to have at the time that might have made the difference, allowed her to fend off the Banshee and protect the colonists, and perhaps in that case, it would have never escalated to the extent that it did. So remember that story. Remember Tiptree and Hillary as well. I'm hoping that we will hear the other angle of that soon. However, I'm not entirely sure when that might come about.